The Turkish Get-up is an exercise where we go from lying on the floor holding a kettlebell overhead to standing up and then back down to the floor. It is a true expression of strength. The exercise has so many benefits. It's great for shoulder strength and stability, core, legs. It works your total body, and it can be a warm-up or a strength exercise. Today I'm going to teach you how to do the Turkish Get-up. Come with me. The Turkish Get-up can be a complicated exercise, but don't worry. I'm first going to demonstrate it, and then we will break it down every step of the way. We start the exercise in fetal position, meaning on our side, curled up with the kettlebell by the shoulder. I'm going to start with it on this side and then move it over so that way you can see. But here, you'll be lying on your side and you're going to get an underhand grip of the bell. This is going to make sure the bell sits on the outside of your wrist, which is the side you want it on. And then the hand that's not going to hold the bell just comes over on top of that hand. I lie down and then I use those two arms to roll the weight up and press it overhead. Now lock the arm bone into the shoulder socket. You see there how my arm was up when I first came up, and then I lock that arm into the shoulder socket. It's very hard to move. If somebody tried to pull on it, it wouldn't move too much. From here, I'm going to put my opposite arm and leg out at a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to bring that down and now take it to the other side. So that way you'll be able to see me as I move in the rest of the rep. So again, on my side, roll up into what's called firing range. The arm locks into the shoulder socket and my wrist is nice and straight. You don't want to let that kettlebell flop back and put strain on the inside of the wrist. So neutral long wrist, or maybe even a little bit of wrist flexion inward. This leg stays bent, foot is planted on the floor. This one comes out away from the body at a 45-degree angle, and so does the arm. From here, you want to brace your core and almost push your lower back into the ground, and keeping that torso nice and sturdy. You don't want the spine to flex as you come up. This is not a crunch. Roll up onto the elbow, and you want a proud chest here. My shoulders and hands are stacked. This hand is above the shoulder is above the other shoulder is above the elbow. From here, I'm going to come up onto my hand and shift my hand so it's in line with my hips more or less, maybe just a little bit behind, and then press through the grounded foot, bring the hips up, and sweep this leg underneath me. Here, I'm in the half get-up position. My foot, knee, and hand are making a 90-degree angle. My hands are stacked on top of each other. This is pretty sturdy. You see I'm hanging out here. It's not too bad. Now I'm going to lift the hand that's on the ground up and come to an upright position and then close this leg. From here, I'm going to use the leg that's up to pull myself up to a tall standing position. Make sure the arm is still packed in the shoulder socket, the elbow's locked up, locked out, the wrist is straight, and the ribs are down and the core is on. Now we're going to reverse it. The foot that's opposite the kettlebell takes a big step back and comes into a low lunge. I untuck my toes, I open my leg, and I run my hand down my thigh to place it in front of me. This helps ensure I come back to this nice 90-degree angle with the foot, knee, and hand. Look up at that bell, make sure your arm's still straight. Kick the leg through, sit down, and now, unlike before, you can roll, flexing the spine, come down to the elbow, and then one vertebrae at a time we come back. Bend both feet, grab that bell with both hands, safely lower it down, and roll to your side again. That is how you do the full Turkish Get-up. If you're still overwhelmed, do not worry. You can break this down even further. We can focus on each step of the exercise one at a time, and you don't even need a weight. Also, if you find that your kettlebell is too heavy, feel free to do this with a lighter weight dumbbell. I'm going to demonstrate without any weight right here. So the very first step is what we call a quarter get-up or a baby get-up, and we get the weight, come to our backs, press it up, and then this is honestly, aside from the choreography, the hardest part, getting up off the floor. So you can practice that quarter get-up, coming up to your elbow and rolling back down. This reinforces coming up as a solid unit and rolling back one vertebrae at a time. So we brace the core, keep the belly tight, roll up to the elbow, and then roll back down one vertebrae at a time. Keep everything tight, come up to the elbow, and roll back again one vertebrae at a time. Make sure this whole time that the arm is going straight towards the ceiling. It's like there's a magnet pulling your arm straight, but at the same time you're working against it to keep the arm locked into the shoulder socket. And try not to let this knee wobble in too much. Think of me there pressing your knee to keep it straight up. Press through the foot, come up, and roll back down. Come up and roll back down. I would suggest trying this exercise, the quarter get-up, 5 to 10 times on each side, and you can always use it as a warm-up before you do your Turkish get-up. Next, we can do the halfway point. Remember where we got to that 90-degree angle with our hand, knee, and foot in a 90-degree angle right here? This part, we're just going to work on getting there. So again, we start on the back, come to a firing range position, arm and leg come out to a 45-degree angle. That means that they are about somewhere between 90 degrees and your body. 90 degrees would be everything's out here. Completely straight would be here. So 45 degrees. This is important because it gives you a place to go. It's really hard to sit up like this. So we want to have this leg out to help us go in that direction. So we do our quarter get up. Then you come up to your hand. And it's really important that when we come up to our hand, so we go from our quarter get up to here, that we don't leave the hand out here or shoot it back here. It wants to come in line with the hip. That's going to be important for when we get to our tripod point, that halfway point. So now you press through the foot, you press through the hand, you lift your hips up, and then you get this leg underneath you. That knee is replacing the butt. And now we're in our half get up or tripod position. 3 points of contact, hand, knee, foot, 90 degrees. Very clear there. And from here you can kick back down and roll onto your back. Now with any of these exercises, as you're doing repetitions one after the other, you don't have to roll back to the fetal position. From here, we come back up, bring the hand in line with the hip, press the foot and the hand into the ground, feel nice and stable, elbow straight, hips up, knee sweeps underneath us. We feel stable. Hand is over shoulder, shoulder is over shoulder, shoulder is over hand. Long, straight, strong line. Kick back through and roll back. Again, this exercise is one you can practice for maybe 5 times on each side, back and forth. And then finally we'll work on what's called a dead stop lunge. That's where we go from going here and up. So you're probably all familiar with a reverse lunge at this point. It's when we go up and down and the back leg goes back behind us. But when you're doing it from the floor, it's actually more like a box step up if you want to think of it that way. That front leg is completely responsible for pulling you up. So if when you're here, if you're having a hard time standing up, it's normal. You're moving with weight above your head and one leg's responsible. You want to get a mind-muscle connection and isolate that glute. So we're going to think of using this glute to pull us up to standing. And then remember, the leg that's moving is the one that's not underneath the weight. So the other leg's going to step back and come into that reverse lunge. And each time you practice this, you want to bring your knee all the way to the floor. Because like I said, we're coming from the floor when we do this. Then that mind-muscle connection kicks in, this glute over here starts to fire and pulls us up to standing. And then we reverse it. You can try this drill with or without your weight, 5, 10 times on each side if you have sensitive knees. put a pillow or cushion underneath you or do it on a carpet. But these drills are going to be really important for helping you get a strong Turkish get-up.